Greetings, YouTubers and live videoers. It's me, Wayman29, and I thought I'd come on and talk about the Ebionites as a section of these early church groups. A lot of people haven't even heard of some of these groups, nor have they read or been able to find some of the texts that relate to these early Christian believers, because some of the stuff isn't published and isn't as popular. So what we're going to do is talk about first the proto Ebionites and where they may have come from. There's a gospel called the Gospel of the Nazarites, which also circulated along with the Gospel of the Ebionites, and those texts explain the theology on how they believe the gospel stories should have been told, and about their religious practices. So first we're going to talk about a little bit about their ideas, because the Dead Sea Scrolls give us a little bit of view in how these people would have evolved into Christians. And the really strict law codes of the Damascus document and community rules show us that, along with other Jewish laws, show us how apocalyptic these Christians would have been, and also the strict following of eating codes and the idea of making Christ the Messiah to them, and also the fight to keep their Jewish identities because they were Jewish Christians. So as they made the transition into accepting Christ as Messiah, you have some interesting things happening in the text. And I don't know, they have like the Greek word for Ebionites, and they have what the early Christian church fathers called them. But mainly we're going to go with the Hebrew because it means poor, Ebon, poor. And the origin of the name Ebonite isn't all that clear, because if you read the early church fathers, each one has a different view of how these people obtained their names. And the writer who gave them the name was a writer who thought all heresy started with a person. So he's going to label them as such with the name of their founder, which may not be accurate at all. It may have been a characteristic. So that's just something to think about. Now, moving on, they believed that Jesus was a Messiah, yet they maintained their Jewish identities, like we said before, beliefs and practices. So they followed strict Jewish code from the laws of Moses. And they believed that Jesus was not divine, and that he was not a result of a virgin birth. So the texts that they favored were the text of Matthew, like I said before, without the first two chapters. And they also had the Gospel of the Ebionites, and they also had the Gospel of the Nazarenes, the Nazarites, which was circulating. And they were totally against anything the Apostle Paul said, because Paul tried to, Paul seen them as heretics, and he said that Jewish law was no longer needed to be practiced. They believed that the task of Christ was to come and die for the world, so no other sacrifice was needed, so they didn't sacrifice. They were vegetarians because usually back in the culture, anything that was slaughtered was done so in the name of a god, and they were afraid of eating anything that was worshipped to idols, so they reverted to being vegetarians. And in the Gospel of the Ebionites, it shows this, where they change John the Baptist from eating locusts to eating cakes with a simple letter change in the Hebrew word, which is really slick. So here we got the Gospel of the Ebionites, and also the Gospel of the Ebionites was a mesh between Mark, Luke, and Matthew. So here's evidence of that. As far as the baptism of Jesus, you're going to hear the three different sayings from the three different Gospels, where Yahweh speaks to Christ three different times, and they believed in adoption. So when you got baptized, you were adopted by God. Some of these ideas still float into Christianity today, especially in evangelical movements, where once you're saved, you are adopted into the kingdom of heaven, and other such ideas. So here we go. After the people were baptized, Jesus also came and was baptized by John. And as he went up from the water, the heavens were opened, and he saw the Holy Ghost in the likeness of a dove that descended and entered into him. And a voice from heaven saying, Thou art my beloved Son, in thee I am well pleased. And again, this day I have begotten thee. And straightway there shone about the place a great light, which when John saw, he saith unto him, Who art thou, Lord? And there again was a voice from heaven saying to him, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. And it saith, John fell down before him, and said, I beseech thee, Lord, baptize thou me. But he prevented him, saying, Suffer it, or let it go, for thus it behoveth that all things should be fulfilled. So, that's just something interesting about it. So, a lot of times early church fathers railed against these people because they wanted to hang on to their Jewish identities, and they seen them as heretics. And there was also the conflict between Peter and Paul, because Paul was a Gentile Christian. He seen things that way, and Peter was a Jewish Christian. And there was a gentleman by the name of Simeon Magus. Probably pronounced that wrong. Simon Magus. And he was the epitome of evil. He, in the Acts, I believe, I'm not sure where exactly it is, he followed the apostles around. He wanted to raise people from the dead, and Peter chewed him out and sent him away. So in later stories, which were made up about the events and things, he becomes the epitome of evil. But here, in the Homilies, 1719, I believe it was written by thought it was the Clement. In the Homily 1719, here you have the Apostle Paul. They made him this Simon, and you can tell it's directly the Apostle Paul from Acts 9. But this is taken out of the Homilies, 1719. And if our Jesus appeared to you also, and become known in a vision, and met you as angry with an enemy, yet he has spoken only through visions and dreams, or through external revelations. But can anyone be made to teach through a vision? And if your opinion is that is possible, why then did our teacher spend a whole year with us who were awake? How can we believe you, even if he has appeared to you? But if you were visited by him for the space of an hour, and were instructed by him thereby to have become an apostle, then proclaim his words, expound what he taught, be a friend to his apostles, and do not contend with me, who am his confidant. For you have in hostility withstood me, who am a rock, a firm rock, the foundation stone of the church. So that was said to be from Peter, right to Paul. And of course they aren't going to put Paul's name in here because of certain reasons. So another idea was a letter of Peter to James. This is chapter 2, 3 to 5. You'll probably find this on the internet. This is in retaliation to the ideas of Paul. For some among the Gentiles have rejected my lawful preaching, and have preferred a lawless and absurd doctrine of the man who is my enemy. And indeed, some have attempted, while I am still alive, to distort my words by interpretations of many sorts. And if I taught the dissolution of the law, but that may God forbid. For to do such a thing means to act contrary to the law of God, which was made to Moses, and was confirmed by our Lord in everlasting continuance. For he said, the heaven and the earth shall pass away, but not one jot nor tittle shall pass away from the law. So, there you have it, some of the responses to the proto-Orthodox movement in response to their heresy claims from the Ebionites. And they're beautiful texts, and they're worth a read. So, if you get a chance, the Gospel of the Nazarites is one, the Gospel of the Ebionites, and the letter of Peter to James is influential, and the Homilies. And a lot of the other early church fathers wrote extensively, which we'll get into later, about what they had to say about it. But I kind of want to stay talking about these groups and expound on a little bit, because not too many people realized how important these people were, and how they influenced the way we think today, because the Ebionites of yesterday are the modern day Messianic Jews. So it survived. They believed that Paul's writings weren't a part of the New Testament. They also found the teachings of James, who was thought to be the brother of Jesus. And Jesus, being that he fulfilled his mission, they believed that that's why the resurrection happened. So all the times that Paul is expounding on the resurrection, he was focusing in on those ideas and counteracting those types of beliefs. And one of the things that came out later was the I think it was the Gospel of Barnabas, the Epistle I can't even say that, the Epistle of Barnabas. And in my opinion, that right there started the anti-Semitic ideas in Christianity. And the Epistle of Barnabas is a direct assault on the beliefs of the Ebionites. So you get a chance, maybe check that out also. Okay, YouTubers, hope you enjoyed that. Maybe I gave you a little information, a little bit shorter than my last one. Take care of yourself and each other.